isn't the system broken because we have short-term political cycles? Politicians, whether they're at the federal level or at the local level, they have different drivers around things compared to the people that are actually managing and looking after assets. So is the system broken?
I don't think the system, well, I wouldn't like to say it as the system broken. I think the system is what it is. And as engineers and finance professionals, our job is to acknowledge the system as is and navigate ways around trying to remove the ability of decision makers to make the wrong decisions. And that's our job. At the end of the day, if Australia shifts from 3% in very poor infrastructure to 10% in very poor infrastructure, we'll still have to find ways to pay for that or reduce that, or alternative ways to do things. And that's just way of life. And it makes life interesting, if anything.
Well, and that's a good point, Ashay. So I refer to them as not necessarily the system is broken, but you have these pendulum shifts depending on who's in charge, whether it's at the federal, at the state level. And so, you go one direction for 8 years, and then you kind of shift back one way or the other. But I think there have been attempts. So, for example, in the US, where most of our infrastructure is financed, this is overseen by the Security and Exchange Commission in the US. Recently, they have implemented this ESG requirement that our projects need to have some, economic input, environmental considerations, societal considerations. And I think that's part of the shift as well, right? So regardless of how the pendulum shifts, these ESG requirements now have become part of consideration on how the credit rating of a community, how valuable are these bonds that you're issuing. And so I think we're making, slowly chipping at this. I think I heard that today, chipping at this tree, and one day the tree will fall, and we'll get there.